So welcome to YOUnified, Unburdened Living, a webcast series focused on creating awareness and unity to the fragmented self, the root cause of both your inner and outer challenges. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm excited to offer you a glimpse, yet gentle and effective process that I use to access freedom, peace, and fulfillment. My name is Enigma L'Enfant, and I will be your guide on this inner journey. So as an international healer, educator, and speaker, my purpose is helping the silently suffering access their inner wisdom so they can overcome challenges and step into a more fulfilling experience. So for today's agenda, we are going to dive into group and collective consciousness, and we're going to really focus on supporting you in creating some love-based, healthy boundaries. So in this time of turmoil, you've got enough of your own stuff to work on that when you have that external interference, it can make your current inner work and your own self-discovery and expansion and evolution that this experience is offering for us can make it a little confusing. It can create issues with proper discernment, and it can weigh you down. So I felt that it was really important to support you in this topic and to bring awareness to it. So here's what is on the agenda for today, where you are going to gain a super simple tool to expand your awareness and discern between your energy and that of the global energy grid. So I'm going to walk you through that. I'm going to support you in creating that discernment for yourself. And then what I'm going to be doing is offering you a healing to release the heaviness of any and all collective fear or suffering that you might have inadvertently tapped into. And then we're going to upgrade those boundaries for you so that you can have a foundation of boundaries that are supported from a perspective and seated in self-love. In addition, we'll be clearing any toxic attachments or any ethereal cords that you have that are really holding you back from moving forward and making the most out of this challenging experience for personal development, introspect, and personal evolution. So, are you guys ready to dive right in? Good. So now the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to share with you a technique that will allow you to create an awareness for yourself as to what's going on with your energy field and what may or may not be influencing it, what you're tapped into. So let me go ahead and support you with a visual here. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and share this visual here with you. And the reason I like to use a visual, I'm naturally a very visual person, so I tend to like using visuals as well as auditory in all of my teachings. But I find that this helps you to see yourself as an observer and as a third party a little bit more easily by having something to focus on. So let's begin, shall we? So I want you to go ahead and get comfortable wherever you are. I want you to turn off the world around you. I'm asking you to just be right here, right now with us. Take a nice, deep, comfortable breath. And allowing that breath to ground you deeply into yourself, into your soul, and into your body. With every breath, allow your awareness of your current state of being to be amplified. With every inhalation, you go deeper into your inner wisdom, your inner awareness, and you connect deeper to your own inner guide. And as you exhale, you expand your awareness of your current state of being in all aspects, all versions, and all fragments of you. Allowing that mind to quiet, allowing your focus to be your breath, allowing it to anchor you into your body so you can be fully and completely present and in full awareness. Good. Now, I want you to ask your body a simple question. I want you to ask your body, show me the current state of my being. And you might feel some lightness in some areas, and maybe heaviness in others, joy in some parts, and maybe struggling or frustration in others. Your energy field and all that you are is almost like an energy casserole, right? There's parts of you that are in gratitude, and there might be parts of you that are frustrated, isolated, disconnected, bored. So just observe what that overall energy field is. Don't judge it. Release all judgment, expectation, and just allow yourself to be open and receptive to the awareness of any impressions that show up for you. Good. Now that you've gotten the sense of your own state of being, I want you to ask your body to show you what aspect of this energy does not personally belong to me, that I've taken on inadvertently from others, from social experiences, or that I'm connected or that I've taken on from the collective consciousness grid. And I just want you to let go of any and all expectation and simply observe in your own way. And everyone has a different natural state of communication with their inner guide, their inner physician, their inner wisdom. Some people might feel a certain thing or get an impression. Some people might get a number or hear something. Now, by your impression or estimation, if you were to guess, what aspect of your field, your energy, your state of being is being externally sourced or has an external factor to it, meaning you've taken on someone else's fear, someone else's thoughts, someone else's experience, you've connected to the consciousness grid and you're experiencing maybe the collective loss and fear or suffering that's happening in the world around you. It's very seldom, although not unheard of, for you to have 0% external interference or external connection. Some of those are really positive and some of those might be harmful or degrading for you. So what we're going to do is we're just going to help you to create proper discernment and then release what might be holding you back and then allow what is holding you and inspiring you in for the purposes of creating a greater experience for you. Good. So I'd love to hear in the comments what, in your impression, what aspect or what percentage or what emotions might you be carrying that you're questioning whether or not they're 100% yours. Now, in order to support you with that proper discernment, sometimes we take on our partners or our kids or our bosses or our employers' responsibility, and we mentally or emotionally, we misconstrued it as being part of our stuff or baggage. So with your permission, I'd like to offer you a healing to support you with appropriate discernment on what really belongs to you and maybe some of the responsibilities that you've taken on that are unrealistic and that are not of your ownership. So to receive this healing, you simply need to acknowledge and say yes out loud. And then allow that information, that software, that data to steep into your subconscious mind, and that will allow you to create and observe any discernment or increase awareness of what might be yours and what might not be yours. So with your permission, let's show you what it is, what it feels like, and how to fully and completely discern and recognize the truth of what your actual responsibilities are and where that responsibility ends. Let's allow you to have proper and clear discernment between the responsibilities that you've taken on that are outside of your control, that are outside of your responsibility, and are outside of your ability to respond. I'll get you to take a breath as you say yes to those downloads. And let's allow you to have proper discernment, awareness, and allow you to know what it feels like to recognize when you've taken on the ownership of thoughts, energy, or emotions that are not your own. So allow yourself now, if you want to say yes, to receive that download. Okay, good. So now by your estimation, with that discernment, I'll go ahead and ask you to go ahead and tap in again and just see if anything has changed for you. And maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. And let me know in the comments what your impressions are. Good. Good. So now with your permission, the energy, the thoughts, or the emotions that you've inadvertently taken on from others, we're going to go ahead and support you in releasing that with your permission. So if that's okay, I'm going to offer you healing, and I'm going to support space for you to let that go. And what we're going to do is we're going to teach you, if you will, how to support your loved ones and how to care without carrying. So sometimes in our relationships, we love someone so much and we see them struggle that we just want to take it for them, right? We were like, oh, I love you, here, let me take it. And that's not supportive. There's another option that's way more supportive to both you and the other person. Because what that means energetically, and I want to take a minute to break this down for you so that you understand, is when you see someone suffering and you're like, oh, poor you, let me take that for you. You've got this victim energy towards the person's situation, or I don't know if you're going to make it through this. So you've got almost like a downer energy without doing it on purpose, like just so we're clear. It is out of love. But what happens is it's, I don't know that you can get through this. So here, let me try to carry your bag for you, right? So you're creating this downer energy. Now, a different way to hold space that's much more supportive for both you and your loved ones is to acknowledge and see their suffering. And wow, that must be really hard for you. I can see that's hard for you. And instead of the, oh no, which kind of speaks to a little bit to, I don't know if you're going to get through this kind of energy, is I know that must be hard, and I can see how strong you are, and I believe and I know that we will make it through this, and you will make it through this. And so it's more of a I believe in you energy, and not so much I don't believe in you energy, or I'm afraid for you energy, right? So one is a fear-based energy and one is a loving and inspired energy. So hopefully that got relate that what I'm trying to relate here got through and offered you some insight between the difference between also loving and enabling your loved ones. So now, with your permission, let's go ahead and do another layer. So I'll get you to sit with yourself, and let's ask, is there any energy, any thoughts or any emotions that you are currently holding in your field, in your body, in your nervous system, in your biochemical communication, that is hindering your optimal state of homeostasis and harmony. So let's go ahead now and see what might you be carrying that's heavy for you, that we could take this as an opportunity to let you shed some of your own layers as well. How does that sound? Good. So now with your permission, go ahead and observe, what am I hanging on to that's heavy? Because we just keep moving through our day, right? So some of that stuff just becomes background noise. We just keep pushing through. And so I want to just take a moment and pause and explore, what's my background sound? What's my feeling, right? Is it 100% joy, or is it mixed in with a little bit of something else? Go ahead and observe that. And you might get some impressions as to the emotions or the thoughts or the situations. And if you do, that's great, but try not to move into it. Remain the observer. If you get caught up in your own story, it'll make it more difficult for you to let go of those emotions, okay? So take a breath. And now with your permission, I'm going to create space for you to release those. So would it be okay for us, meaning me and whatever your higher power is, to release you of any and all misqualified energies, entities, and thought forms that are not supporting you in your highest and best way, and allowing you to release those with the utmost joy and ease? Would that be okay? And to receive this healing, you just need to acknowledge by saying yes, and then allowing and releasing that energy, letting it go, sending it back to the universe. Good. Now let's go back for another observation. I want you to go back into your inner wisdom and just check in. Are there any fears or suffering that I'm experiencing within myself that are tied into the collective grid? Good. So I'm hearing some yeses. So what we're going to do is, I'm just going to give you a quick little understanding of what the collective grid is. We use that word a lot, but I wanted to make sure you had maybe a more brief understanding of what it means. So energetically, we're all connected. I think most of you could probably agree to that. But something that's been really interesting is in the 80s, they started to do some experiments around how we might collectively energetically connect with ourselves, right? And how we might influence each other through our consciousness. And so they did some experiments with some random number generators, and they've been doing this for years. They've got decades of data. And what they've noticed, and there has been some polarizing opinions about the interpretation of the data, but one of the ways of looking at that I agree with is looking at the correlation between really large global events, like wars, 9/11, and the pandemic is a perfect one. I'm really interested to see what the random number generated data is going to show us once the dust settles, and see how that might play and add to this. But what they've noticed is there's a correlation between the lack of randomness within those random number generators when really large events happen on a global scale. So when we have global prayer, when we have different really big experiences that are on a global level. So there's that particular scientific exploration that's happening to understand the depth of our collective consciousness and how our group and social beliefs have an impression or an influence on each and every one of us. And so essentially what I wanted to share with you about this is just an awareness that even though you live in your own world, in your own home, and you're maybe physically distancing yourself from others, is that that collective consciousness, awareness is part of your nature. Now, the reason why I wanted to focus on having healthy boundaries is it's really easy to get tied in to that collective fear, right? And because fear is something that our subconscious pays a lot of attention to, more so with the purposes of assessing risk as it pertains to danger, right? So it's always going, is that safe? Is that safe? Is that safe? And this is happening in the background all of the time without you noticing. So your subconscious's primary role is to keep you safe and alive, right? So it's always assessing risk. It's what it's naturally disposed to do. However, some of the ways that we've been living is we essentially live with a little bit of our foot on the gas all the time, if you will, in that autonomic system, in our sympathetic system, which is the fight, flight, or freeze, or fawn, if you want to include the new fourth one. But you're always a little bit on guard, if you will. Just some people it's 20%, some people it's 2%, but that's almost like driving with your brakes on a little bit, right? It's really hard on your system. So now, one of the reasons that I'm bringing this up is because a lot of the times we've gotten so accustomed, and it's such a social, it became a social norm that we're like, well, I'm not more stressed out than anybody else. You know, like it became a normal thing for us to be stressed out, and an acceptable thing, which I don't agree with personally, and maybe some of you share that or subscribe to that belief as well. But the way that the system works really well is actually more in your parasympathetic system. So it's supposed to be at rest unless there's a lion, right? So here we are driving at work, we're 2 minutes late and we're already losing our jobs, right? We're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And so we overdrive into that system, and then we tend to live in it way more than it's designed to do, which creates a lack of homeostasis in our physical bodies, in our emotional bodies, in our mental stream, as well as in our energetic fluidity and viscosity of the energy that's supposed to move through our bodies. So my point being is that when you push back your fear, or you try to forget about what's going on over there, when you're pushing it aside, you're just pushing it behind you. You're still dragging it in your wake. It's still affecting your nervous system. And the reason why this is so important to talk about right now is that when your nervous system is in that state of activity, when it's supposed to be in the parasympathetic, it's not focused on restoration and healing. Also meaning it's not focused on keeping your immune system at its optimal peak performance. When you're in fight, flight, or freeze, or fawn, all of that energy is being attributed to how you're going to respond to the situation, and not keeping the normal and healthy functioning and the optimal functioning of your body. So I wanted to take a moment to share that with you, not to create any kind of fear around, oh my God, I have fear, my immune system's going to be destroyed because of it. No, like, don't have fear about your fear. that's worse. And don't be afraid of having negative thoughts. What we need to do is we need to observe them, we need to recognize them, we need to honor them, and we need to address and resolve them. And I know that sounds like a lot of steps, but in a sense, that's essentially what needs to happen. Not suppress, not repress, not avoid, not rationalize away. Well, I have nothing to be afraid of, I'm going to be able to get my income, or whatever it is. We don't want to rationalize away our emotions, because our emotions are naturally irrational. They are not rational by nature. So to try to rationalize away an emotion is a very, it could be a very detrimental thing, because what you're doing is, when you're rationalizing them away, you're not validating them, and you're essentially like mocking them in a way, right? That might be a strong word, but that's kind of my vibe. So now that you have some information about the collective consciousness and the collective fear and suffering, and I see some of you guys have left me some information and some of the specific things that you're getting tied into. So now I want you to go and observe those thoughts, those feelings, those emotions that came up for you. And I want you to discern for yourself, is this my fear? Am I afraid of this personally? Or is this a collective fear? Is this a fear that I've tied into? And maybe it's a little bit of both, right? So just be okay with whatever answer shows up, release any and all judgment. You'll get a more clear answer, and observe what shows up for you. So take a moment and ask that question to your inner wisdom again. Is this my fear, or is this a fear that I've connected to or I'm tied into in the collective consciousness grid? And I'm hearing a lot of yeses. So what we're going to do, with your permission, is we're going to cut those ethereal cords. So one reason we tie into the collective grid is because we're really great. We're social beings, right? So especially with this isolation, it really challenges our natural capacity. We are designed to interact with each other, right? Our heart chakra is the biggest field that we have in our energy bodies because it's the interpersonal hub of our soul space and our self space, if you will. So what we're going to do is, now that you've gained that discernment, one of the reasons we allow or inadvertently permit that to happen is because it's usually out of love, right? But it's a misguided way of loving and connecting to, we're in this together, let's all be afraid. I know that's probably not what you're thinking in your conscious mind, but it's like your way of being a part of the team sometimes. And there's way more different reasons why someone might actually have let's call it improper or toxic connections to consciousness grid, as well as other people, right? So maybe you have a loved one that's like terrified and they're like in panic mode. Next thing you know, I feel like some people I know are digging a bomb shelter in their backyard, and not that I'm not intentionally mocking that, but I'm observing the level of fear that they're living in, and I'm like, wow, I don't know how I couldn't sustain that level of panic from morning to night. I used to when I was on the stock market, but I've definitely become unadapted to that level of stress. It makes me really uncomfortable, which is a good thing in my opinion. So what we're going to do, with your opinion, with your permission, is let's go ahead and show you how to clearly discern between the attachments that you have that are love-based, which essentially mean heart to heart, right? So you're loving and they're loving and they're loving and they're not codependent and they're not toxic in any way, shape, or form. You're not taking on energy that is not yours to carry. Because we can be in this together from a love connection. And that's the part that's much more supportive. So let's go ahead and allow you to observe your field again. So I'm going to bring this image up for you again. And I want you to ask your body to show you which attachments or cords that you might have that are connected to you. So close your eyes, take a deep breath, let go of your mental chatter. Let go of your expectation, any judgments, and then just see what shows up for you. Are there attachments or change or backpacks that are showing up for you? And you might get an impression, a feeling, a sensation, an image, or visualization. Everyone has a different way of communicating with their inner wisdom. So use your natural capacity. Okay, and I'm seeing the group, there's all this weight on the shoulder, right? It's like this big attachment. So what we're going to do is, we're not just going to address that one, but with your permission, would it be okay for me to release any all attachments that are toxic, non-supportive, codependent, or disharmonious in any way, shape, or form, that are not supporting you in your highest and best good, as well as allowing those to be released in a joyful way and allowing the dynamics of all of your relationships to be improved through this process. Would that be okay with you? So if that feels right for you, you can go ahead and say yes. And I'm going to witness those attachments releasing. Let's release any and all commitments, contracts, obligations, vows, oaths, or decisions that you might have inadvertently made that keep you connected to those attachments. I'm seeing a few struggle in letting them go. So let's release those obligations. Let's show you how to honor your family, your ancestor, your community, your world, Mother Earth, but without needing to take on any attachments or any energetic weight, any fears, or anything that's going to weigh you down that is non-supportive. And let's show you how to connect and to honor yourself, your family, your community, your world, and Mother Earth, but without needing to hang on to those negative attachments or those fears. Would that be okay? Good. So now let's do a real clean on your boundaries. So honestly, I have a 4-hour course on boundaries. So I'm going to give you the Coles Notes version, okay? Because for those who know me, you know I'm a little long-winded. So let me give you the quick and easy on boundaries. So you have 2 levels of boundaries. Okay, I'm simplifying here. You have 2 levels of boundaries. You have your internal boundaries, which are the boundaries that you have within yourself when you're saying yes to yourself and when you're saying no to yourself. And some people have stronger constitutions there than others, right? Like someone who's a pushover would often say no to themselves and what they want and yes to external needs or desires or expectations or obligations and so on. And then you have your external boundaries, which are the ones that you have in your interpersonal and your external experience. And within those 2 aspects of your boundaries, you have 4 or 5, depending on how you want to cut the pie, different aspects of those boundaries. So you have your physical, emotional, mental, and energetic boundaries. So we'll simplify it to 4. And each and every one of those have a certain criteria as to what they're going to let in and what they're going to repel out. And it's not that you're being oblivious to what's going on in the world around you. Is a proper filter and a proper boundary allows you to be in full awareness of what is going on outside and even inside of you, but without getting all wrapped up into it and all connected into it. So then that way it doesn't allow you to have a higher perspective on it. Because when you get right into something, then you lose your perspective and your awareness, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to create some new foundations for you by offering you some subconscious software, if you will. So with your permission, would it be okay for us to teach you and show you the highest truth, perspective, definition, understanding of what a healthy, loving, supportive internal boundary is? Let's show you what it feels like so that you can effortlessly recognize it. And let's show you how to action and apply it in your everyday life through love and through tact, and the highest and best way with joy and ease for yourself and all involved. Would that be okay? So if that sounds like something that you would like an upgrade on or you would like energetic support with, feel free to say yes now and allow that healing to take place within your being. Good. So now let's teach you what it is, what it feels like, and how to have healthy, loving, and supportive, love-based external boundaries. Let's show you what it feels like so that you can recognize them, and let's show you how to action and apply them in a loving and supportive way for both yourself and everyone involved in the highest and best way possible. Would that be okay? Good. So those are the 2 big categories. But now I want to dive in another a little layer deeper, because I really want to offer you as much support as I can around this, because it's highly important right now, or at least I feel it is. So I want to give you some healing downloads on the 4 main aspects of your boundaries. So with your permission, and the one that I'm being called to really enforce here. So just for fun, now that you've gotten some information about your levels of your boundaries, I want you to ask your inner wisdom to show you your emotional body, your current emotional state, and to offer you some insights and awareness as to how much of those emotions and that resonance is yours and how much of it is externalized, that's coming from an outside source. So go ahead and tap back into your state of emotional being. Just that one slice. So not your mental being, not your physical being, not your energetic being, but your current emotional being. Okay, good. Take a breath. Okay, is that 100% yours? Okay. Now, if you want support in discerning that on a deeper level, on my YouTube channel, there is a tutorial on muscle testing that really helps you to create a better bridge, if you will, or it's an alternative to communicating directly with your subconscious mind, who's like your mission control, right? Your headquarters for all aspects of you in this physical expression. So muscle testing is a really, really great tool to get more clear information. Yeah, so some of it, there's about 20 to 50% of it that's emotionally probably not yours, is what I'm feeling, so you might be outliers, but what we're going to do with your permission is let's allow you to have the wisdom. Let's show you what it feels like and know how to recognize, and let's show you how to have and apply healthy emotional boundaries. Good. And to add to that, let's go ahead and release you from that 20 or 50 or even more percent of emotional experience, emotional state and emotional energy, if you will. Let's go ahead and release that for you. That doesn't belong. Would that be okay? Okay. Now, some of you have wisdom attached to that emotion. So for example, sometimes we hang on to fear because then we're like, well, as long as I'm afraid, then I'm always on guard. And so I'm going to hang on to that fear because that keeps me safe, right? So then we attach that wisdom of safety and that alertedness, if you will, with the fear. So what I'm seeing is there's some wisdom attached to some of your emotions. So with your permission, let's go ahead and do a group healing for you. Let's allow you to know what it is and what it feels like to release that emotion, but while keeping the wisdom that those experiences have offered you, allowing you to hang on and integrate that wisdom, but without needing to hang on to that unwanted emotion or negative emotion any longer. Would that be okay? Good. Now take a breath and just see how you feel now. Good. Now let's go to your mental boundaries. So let's tap into your mental state of being, right? What's your thought stream like? Are all of the thoughts that you're having yours? Or did you pick them up on the radio or TV or Facebook or what's going on in the outside world, right? Is what you're contemplating or the thoughts that are popping up in your head, which you have like 70,000 of them, so that's a lot to take into account and inventory. But I just want you to sit and connect to that inner wisdom again and just observe in whichever way feels natural to you and ask, what percentage of these thoughts are mine, internally sourced, and what percentage of these thoughts have external sources, are externally based. So essentially the collective chatter, if you will, is seeping into your own mental chatter, right? Yeah. Okay, so take a breath. And now we're going to do the same thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and release you from those misqualified thoughts. So let's go ahead and clear your memory banks of all of the thoughts that are not yours. Let's go ahead and clean the clutter for you, if you will. How's that sound? Good. Now let's go ahead and teach you what it is, what it feels like, and how to apply healthy, loving, and supportive mental boundaries for yourself. And if you'd like that healing download, say yes. Good. So I'm going to invite you to do the same for your physical state of being You know, like I've seen clients have pain in their bodies, and then when we dive deep, it's not even theirs. They're like, oh yeah. And I'm a natural physical empath, so you know, I check in regularly, like a number of times during the day, and the first question I always ask myself is this mine? Why? Because I know I'm a physical empath. So instead of it being like this superpower seated in suffering, for me, it's an invitation to create way more awareness about how I'm feeling and what my environment is telling me, and what I might be inadvertently picking up from my environment, and then evolving my own personal filters and boundaries to suit what my personal needs are. And every one of you has the opportunity to do the same. So now let's go ahead and show you ask your inner wisdom to show you your current state of your physical and energetic state of being. And just for the purposes of saving time, we're going to do those two together today. But I invite you to do this regularly with yourself. Check in. Is this mine? Now that you've got the software and the discernment between what's yours and what's not yours, that'll be an easier answer for you to get to. Good. So how much are you carrying physically, and how much are you carrying energetically that doesn't belong to you? And I'm feeling a much higher number for our group here. So I'm interested to see how you feel about it. Yeah. So now, with your permission, let's go ahead and get rid of that. Well, get rid of it might sound like a mean way of saying it. Is that we're gonna find a better spot for it, right? So we're not gonna send back to the people or to our community or to our globe. We're gonna send it back to the ether of the universe for it to transform it or utilize that energy for a different purpose. It weighing you down is not a supportive purpose. So now, with your permission, let's go ahead and show you the highest truth, perspective, definition, understanding of what a healthy, loving, and supportive mental boundary is for you, what it feels like, so that you can recognize that and how to apply it in a real way in your everyday life with joy and ease. Would that be okay? Good. And all of the thoughts that aren't yours, we're going to clear them. Okay. Now let's go ahead and release. Let's show you what it is, what it feels like, and how to apply healthy, supportive, and loving physical boundaries. And go ahead and say yes, take a breath, and allow that to be released. And let's clear any physical weight that you're carrying, you know, in your shoulders or in your back, or wherever it shows up for you. Everybody's different. Some people it's pressure in their head, or some people it's weird pains and stuff. So let's go ahead and release that physical expression within your body. I'll get you to take a breath. Good. And let's wrap up with energetics, because your energetics is kind of like your outer layer, if you will. That's not technically correct, but let's just say that it is. Everything's energy. So I guess it is technically correct. So now, with your permission, let's go ahead and show you the highest wisdom. Let's show you what it feels like so that you can recognize as well as apply what a healthy, loving, supportive, energetic boundary for you is. Would that be okay? Good. I'm feeling a lot of yeses. Let that move into you. Let's go ahead and release you of any energy that you're carrying that does not serve you any longer, that you're ready, willing, and able to let go of. Anything you're ready to let go of right now, let's let that go. Good. Take a breath. And now, just for fun, I want you to tap in. We're going to start over, essentially, is I want you to tap in and just tap into your state of being. So what's your current overall casserole state of being? What's that feel like for you now when we go and re-explore it? And I'm going to go and take a little peek so I can see what you're seeing. And just breathe and allow your breath to bring awareness into your state of being. So how does that feel to you now? Let me know in the comments. Did you notice a shift? Was there a change? Do you feel lighter? Do you feel less pressure? Do you feel less stressed? Do you feel more peaceful? Do you feel less frantic? And now there's a little cherry on top that I want to add. Let's show you and teach you how to express love and compassion to our globe, our global community, to your local community, to your personal inner familial community, without taking on energy, thoughts, emotions, and any kind of physical weight that does not serve you. So let's give you a little extra let's say protection, like some rubber gloves, if you will, for your boundaries. So let's go ahead and teach you how to have loving, supportive relationships and how to be deeply connected to your global community, but without allowing your boundaries to be porous. So let's show you how to care without carrying. So let's integrate that for you. Would that be okay? And if you're feeling lightheaded, just pause and take some breaths. Sometimes that can happen, and it's almost like a rush of energy that's moving through you, and sometimes it can take us aback. So just take some breaths, you're okay, you're safe, you're well. And I want to do a healing for each and every one of you. I didn't have it on the agenda, but I'm feeling called to do it. So if you'll bear with me a little bit longer, what I'm hearing would be supportive for you right now is I'm going to offer you a healing, a full healing in all aspects that you are, all the way down to every cell in your body, every atom in your being, all the way down to your unified field, the field that unifies you as a person, and also the unified field that unifies you to all creation, everywhere, every time, every place, every dimension, and so on and so on. So what we're going to do, if that's okay with you, is I'm going to offer you a loving and supportive healing, and we're going to infuse every tissue, every atom, every cell, every little particle of energy, all the way down to the unified field. We're going to saturate it with the energy of unconditional love and compassion. And if you would like to receive that healing, please say yes now and sit back and allow yourself. Some people feel like it's a wave or it flows down. Everyone has their different experiences. You might feel nothing, that's okay too. So go ahead, and if you feel called to, you may say yes to receive this healing now. Good. And there's one more thing that I'm hearing that would be great for today. So I want to invite you and join me in, whether it's meditation or prayer or focus intention, whatever your word is that resonates with your personal belief structure is totally fine. We're all kind of doing the same thing, using different words, having different perspectives, right? We're all human. So what I'm feeling would be supportive for all of us to really reconnect in a more loving and supportive way. I'd love for you to join me in prayer or meditation or positive intention. And I want to invite you to connect to whatever your higher power is, whether that's the unified field of the universe, whether that's source, creator, Allah, whether that's the angels, love, whatever word you use, whatever your personal belief structure is. I want you to sit with that energy or that higher power, if you will. And I want you to ask, request, command, pray, intend for that unlimited source of energy to bestow upon our planet, our people, love, compassion, strength, healing, safety, security, and peace. or whatever feels appropriate for you. Those are the ones that felt appropriate for me when I tapped in. So go ahead and take a breath, and just with your intention, witness, observe the unlimited source of energy that resonates with your personal belief structure to direct energy toward beautiful blue marble into everyone and everything on it. Every person, every animal, all of the vegetation, our sacred elements of earth, air, wind, water, ether. Allowing all aspects of our sacred earth as well as our souls to be supported at this time. And let's just hold space so that we can heal together as a community. And I'm going to invite you to include yourself in that healing as well. Let's not forget about you. And give yourself permission to receive the love that is being directed to all. Pure, unconditional love. Good. I hope that you found this technique, this approach, this information, as well as these healings supportive and have guided you to your own inner strength, your own inner peace. And thank you for having the courage to help remove fear around healing so that others can be inspired to step into their truth. So now, from CEOs to social workers, from Kuwait to Calgary, inner conflict continues to show itself as the root cause of our suffering. My goal is to change the perception that inner work and healing work requires a lot of heavy lifting. What it really needs is for you to be ready, willing, and able, and for you to have a little bit of courage to go there. So I hope that you are finding this, the Unified Unburdened Living webcast series, loving you and supportive. And I want to invite you, if you found this helpful, please feel free to share this with your loved ones so they can access these tools as well. Feel free to subscribe to my channel, to like and comment on my videos, so that way I know that I'm offering you the best tools that you need for right now. So please do give me some feedback so that I can support you in the best way possible, and that I can fulfill my purpose as well. So thank you all so much for joining me today. It's an absolute pleasure for me to be a part of your journey. I can't even describe it in words. So thanks again for taking the time out of your day and choosing to spend it with me. Bye for now.